Hey, what's up guys? I am sitting here at the railroad yard fixing to pick up some 8-inch for a overhead that I'm fixing to build. Super excited about this project because there's going to be lots of saddles and 45 saddles at a 45. It's essentially going to be like practicing the branch, so I'm super excited to take you guys along with me on this project. This place is dangerous for an old welder. It's like a kid in a candy store. If you actually drive around and look at all this material, it just makes you want to just load it all up and go build stuff for days. I mean, pipe, whatever size of pipe you want. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I absolutely love it. I do. It's dangerous, but I love it. Alright, made her back to the house. So I went by Stillwater Steel before I went to railroad yard to swap C25 for my MIG welder and a medium acetylene that I had empty, and then to get a box of 4mm, which is equivalent to 532 or similar 532 R80, because that's what I like welding fence with. Some people think I'm crazy, but after being you know, a pipeline welder, I don't know, you can tell a huge difference between 6010 and 8010, which is what that R80 is. So anyway, I went to Stillwater Steel and picked up this plate. Looks like it's a piece of 3/16 plate. It's 36 inches wide by 8 foot long, and it was a piece of scrap that, I say scrap, but like a drop. They had a whole pile of it back there, and I was, you know, bargain shopping because I just need some, let me get out of the wind, doing some bargain shopping because I just need some plate laying around for projects like this. So it's 36 inches by 8 foot, and the only difference is it was sitting outside and it's a drop off the job they did. So I got that piece for $55, and I think a new sheet like that was around $200, they said. So always ask your steel supply for, you know, cheaper options. All right, let's unload this pipe. But wait, how are you gonna do that, Austin? How are you gonna unload that pipe? You don't have a skid steer or nothing. But I do have an A-frame. Here's what we got. I haven't added up how much this weighs. I really thought it would be heavier, but it's not as bad as I thought. A-frames handling it just as well. Obviously my straps are a little off center, but I'm telling you, this A-frame is handier than pocket on a shirt now. I mean handy. One of these days we'll have a winch or something mounted up there. Something with push button action. Looky there, Karen snooping around. Probably been sleeping all day in that shop instead of mousing. All right, now let's pull this trailer forward. Set this pipe down. Probably bust the bands. I'm not sure yet, hadn't thought that far through. Either way, gonna set it down. Get one of these, 2 of these 8-inch set up on some jack stands. Hi Karen, kitty, kitty, kitty. Yeah, you've been sleeping. I know for sure now you got stretched because you've been sleeping. Been loafing around. I bet there's tons of mice out there at the barn. Alright, so I've got this smaller pipe unloaded. The 8-inch and 6-inch is still on the trailer. This pipe is actually for the 2 custom gates that we're going to be building for this entryway. We're looking for a 24-foot opening and 2 gates, so 2 12-foot gates, and then your 8-inch pipe plus the gaps on your hinge side and in the middle. I plan on fitting it all up here at the house and then making the last 6 saddle welds out on location. But let's draw what we're going for as far as what this thing is going to look like. That way you guys have an idea of what we're fixing to be building here. All right, so we're going to have our 2 8-inch and then an 8-inch across the top. 45 action, going to cap this, sand it down nice and smooth. Same with this side over here. If you guys can even see that other side, yes you can. All right, and then we're looking for a 24-foot opening. And we're gonna have two gates. So obviously 2 roughly 12-foot gates, custom. Gonna look something like this. Same on this side. And then we're gonna have 6-inch here and here. That is what we're going for. So my plan is to lay this all out. I'm gonna have to have a weld up here too because my joints of 8-inch are only 20 foot long roughly. And since, you know, we're gonna need a 24-foot opening, that obviously tells me we're gonna have to have a weld somewhere up here. So once I figure out where that weld is gonna be, I may try to make all these welds and then make this my tie-in weld and just haul it in 2 pieces. But I don't know if that's gonna work. Worst case, I'm gonna weld this up, make my weld, sand it down all nice and pretty, put my caps on, and then fit all these branches up, because you know these are going to be branch fit ups here essentially. And then I'm going to get them all fitting good. Go ahead and lay it all out as if I was building it here. Get it all nice and plumb, square, everything. And then once everything's fit up nice and tight, I'm going to make these welds 6-inch, 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 6-inch. And these are all going to be fit up. And then this piece here will be hauled by itself, and then these 2 pieces will be hauled by themselves. And then we'll lay it back out when we get to location, get it all set up good again. I'll probably make me either some punch marks or some paint marks to where everything was at. That way it'll be a little easier to fit up, a little quicker, and square all back up and everything, and get these 45s rolled right. And then make these 6 welds. Hey Karen, good to see you again. You sure have been quite the camera hog here lately, you know it? So that's the plan. You guys have no idea how excited I am. I know I've mentioned that before, but this is just a great project, and I've told the customer that. And he's excited that I'm excited, but I just absolutely love these kind of projects. They're fun to me. I mean, it's pipe, you know? Can't go wrong with pipe. The first thing I'm gonna do is hook up that gin pole and pick up a piece of pipe off that trailer. For those of you that don't know about my gin pole, it's literally just a 3-inch Schedule 40 pipe that I welded together. Kayla found some 3-inch pipe on Facebook Marketplace or something last year sometime, and they were already all cut to 6-foot lengths. That's what this pile over here is behind this square tubing. And there's a few of them that had bends in them because they made 3-point augers, that place where they were liquidating more or less. So I left a bend in one of mine. I'm probably gonna end up cutting that bend off and making it longer. And we actually have prints coming soon to the AROSSWELDING store. This way you can build your very own pole here. This is the part that goes in the receiver hitch. I just had these plates already. The ones on the prints won't be, I think they'll be square. They won't have this radius right here. I just had these plates laying around, so I just used them. But anywho, put that bad boy in there. Put my pan back in here. Now this sucker is kind of heavy now. Sure is kind of heavy. Yeah. I really need to build it to where I can, once I cut this curve off back here, I'm gonna add me another piece, and this sucker's gonna sit just like this on a stand I make for it, and I can just back my truck up to it, if that makes sense. This bad boy, like so. Yeah. Alrighty. Like I said, I'm gonna be cutting that curve off and just adding another piece. For one, I need a taller pole for getting into these buildings and stuff, hanging rafters. But for two, I don't know that it really does anything to have that curve. But yeah, there it is. $11 is half of 22. All right, so here's what we got. We've got to saddle this to fit onto this. So the first thing we're gonna do is look in our blue book. These are available in the AROSSWELDING store. If you don't have a blue book, this blue book is super handy when it comes to pipe work. And we're gonna go to page 28. So on page 28, you're gonna see this where it says 90-degree saddle on standard weight pipe. So we're gonna go down to 8-inch riser and come on over to the 8-inch, because we're going to 8-inch to 8-inch. So 8-inch to 8-inch. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible without using too many complicated words. 8 to 8. So the two measurements we're going to be dealing with is 1 1/16 and 2 11/16. And see, it says here wraparound line. So your measurements will be pulled from your wraparound line out. So we need to measure back from the end of our pipe 2 11/16. And actually you could really go, I'm probably gonna go 3 inches. I'm gonna measure from here to here 3 inches, measure 3 inches. Then I'm gonna take my wraparound, go ahead and make me a little reference line. The reason I'm going 3 inches is in case the end of this pipe is unsquare, and so whenever I cut my saddle, I won't be on the very edge. I'll have a little bit of meat left here. It's more or less in case this is unsquare. But so once we get our reference mark, we're gonna need to find our circumference of this 8-inch, which you can either do what I'm doing here, or we'll do it both ways. So you know both ways. Okay, so we got 2 foot 3 1/4, so 24 inches, 25, 26, 27 1/4. Or we can take the diameter, which is 8 and I believe it's supposed to be 5/8, but it looks like we're getting, yeah, we'll go with 8 5/8. 8 5/8 times, of course I don't have a calculator, but 8 5/8 times 3.14, which is pi. That should give you roughly 27 1/4. 8.625. 0.625 is the decimal form of 5/8. If you want to find the decimal form of anything, you can do 5 divided by 8, which is 5/8, 0.625. So 8.625 times 3.14 give you 27.0825, which is not 27 1/4. Okay, well, we're having a little technical difficulties because I'm still coming up with not 27 1/4 whenever I punch in pi, so I'm going to check again. But I mean, the reality of it is you actually want to get the circumference of your actual pipe that you're dealing with. So anyway, we'll use 27 1/4 divided by 8, so 3.4. Okay, so 3 3/8 is what I ended up having for each 8th. These are 8ths, and so I'm gonna call where I started, I'm gonna call this 0, because see, on this diagram they put 0, 1, and 2, because you get 0, then you get 1 and 2, and you're already at the, you know, the 180 point, you know, here, and then straight across is going to be 2, and so that's all you need. But you got to have a 0, you got to have a, you know, a flat line, a 180 line, if you will. So 0, and then the 1 measurement is going to be, let's go down here and look at our book again, 8 and 8, so the 1 measurement is going to be 1 1/16 and 2 11. So I'm going to go from this line this way. This is a big mistake whenever it comes to cutting branches, is sometimes people pull from this side just out of habit, you know, like hooking the tape. But I always like to burn an inch and whatnot anyway, so I'm going to go 1 and, what did I say, 1/16? Yeah, 1 1/16 and 2 11. Let's go ahead and write these down right here. 1 1/16 and 2 11/16. 1 1/16 and then 2 11/16. 1, 2, 3/4, just shy of 3/4 is 11. Do the same over here. 1 1/16, and then come down here and do 2 11. 1, 2, and 11. I need to grab a piece of angle so I can make straight lines. It's another thing that you want to do. You just want to make sure that angle's on there. Like, I like to wiggle it back and forth like this to make sure it's on there good. But all this is going to do is allow me to make sure see how my mark is a little bit up from that? You just want to make sure your mark is and make sure they intersect at the right area. So now that we've got our stuff laid out here, okay, so now the tricky part is, this is where the eyeballing and experience in several of these come in handy. So like on pipeline jobs, we don't always have to lay these out. Some guys, all they do is lay them out because they can get a better fit. It was the way they were taught or whatever, but if you don't lay them out all the time, you don't know what to adjust this. Because see, this is how I'm gonna connect all my dots, but to do it like, there's a lot of variance, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, you can make it sharper, you can make it less sharp. Like on this size here, I mean, there's pretty much, because this is what we're gonna be connecting right here, these 3 dots. So on something like this, there may not be much room for error, but it wouldn't even be a bad idea to make some punch marks. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's make some punch marks. Now we can connect the dots. See, it's like this here is a prime example. I've already made this line, but see how this one's more curved than this one? Probably because I connected it over here, but if you connect it over here, it'll match that other side, because the arch is kind of going that way, See, you want it to go up, down, you want it to be fluent, Very, very fluent. So, yeah, there we go. That should be 8-inch saddle. Now, we can make sure we got a clean torch tip. Go ahead and cut that thing and then see how she fits. I always like to start on the side of the line where I'm not going to be the drop piece, the piece I'm not going to be using, which is this piece over here. And then really even stay on that side of the line. That way whenever you grind, you actually get back to your true mark. That right there is why we ended up going back 3 inches instead of right on the money. That way we'd have some meat left there to mess with. Moisture coming out. Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. Little old 8-inch branch, baby. I daggum love it, daggum love it. Go ahead and put this beveling machine together. Mathey Dearman sent me this, was it last year? Along with several other tools. Thanks again, Mathey Dearman. I actually had a beveling machine this size. I mean, it wasn't brand new, but I do have one. I don't remember if I had all the dogs for it or not. We call these dogs. These right here, or that's what I call them. It's a slang term. I don't know what the proper term is, but and these smallest ones are called buttons because, well, I don't know why, but you got to have these buttons in when you're cutting 8-inch. This is a 3 to 8 or 4 to 8, I think, beveling machine. And I'll actually just be making a straight cut. I'm going to be making a straight cut right here because I'm going to use this short piece as my test piece for the saddle that I just cut. All right, boys. Would y'all just looky there? I'll tell you what, it's not too shabby. Not too shabby. Haven't even ground on it yet. I think that'll work. Thank y'all for coming along with me today. I'm excited to carry on with this project. Stay tuned for next week. We're gonna get everything else cut out and fit up. We got some 6-inch branch into the 8-inch coming on a 45. A little more complicated, but I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully everything fits good. This is just the beginning of this project. Super excited about it. My advice for this week is practice using your hand torch. If you're gonna be a mobile rig welder, you're gonna be using that hand torch 90% of the time. Depending on what you decide to niche in, you know, whether it's, you know, fixing equipment or doing mostly like town residential, like structural work or fence, you know, depending on what it is, you might end up investing in like a plasma or something else. But for the most part, chances are you're gonna have to use that torch. So get good with a hand torch. No matter what type of welding you get into, get to know that hand torch. Getting good with that hand torch is what's going to make you a better welder, because if you can fit good with your torch, lay out good, then fit good with your torch, then your welding will go a lot easier. So thank y'all for watching, and remember, learn something every day.